Okay, good morning. This morning, let's start standing and just finding our feet below us a little wider than hip distance. And we'll work with the whole spine today to unwind from the root to the crown. So soften your knees, find your feet underneath you, relax the tailbone down. Sometimes people say tuck the tailbone, but then you're a little actively, you can be active in the glutes. What we want is this sense of relaxing the tailbone and then drawing the pubic bone towards the belly button. So you're just slightly engaged there in the core. And then let's squeeze the shoulders out, squeeze the shoulders up to the ears, shoulder blades together in the back, and then down. 2 more times, release with a sound if you want. One more. And we're going to start with just twisting through the central axis. So opening up the whole torso. Just let the arms swing. You can close the eyes off. You can adjust the feet. Let the knees stay forward, but the hips can sort of follow the motion. In other words, you don't have to keep the hips facing forward. You can notice if the hips naturally want to follow, or if you're holding a little bit there. Just twist, let the arms swing. You can start to tap the kidneys. So we'll do a little bit more Qi Gong today. And this is just finding the central axis. So allow all the arms to even relax more. Let the shoulders come down away from the ears as the arms swing. And then see if you can sense that sense of getting just a little bit taller here. As if there's a string of pearls down the center, down the spine, and someone's lifting up from the crown. And just keep tapping those kidneys. If you want to add the shoulder tap to the top, you can. Or you can just stay tapping the kidneys. And then see if you can take it even a little bit bigger. Put a little bit more effort in. And then we're gonna release just to tap on just the kidneys. Starting to slowly release some effort. And then just letting the arms swing. Releasing effort completely and just letting the body find its way back to center. Close off the eyes, take the gaze inward, and just notice what's happening inside the body. And then once the body starts to find that center point, just allow yourself to close the eyes off. Notice any more movement still happening in the body, either internally or maybe still moving the physical sheath. And then settle into the breath. You can bring your hands to the belly and breathe all the way down into the root. Connect the crown and the root. Let the legs be rooted to earth. You can rock and roll in the feet. Find your center. And then we'll take a body scan here. So from your standing position, you're just going to let the hands float up as you inhale. And then the fingertips are together and the palms are going to face the body, drawing down the palms in front of the face, moving nice and slowly, just noticing what you notice here, scanning the body, clearing out the energy field around us, nice and slow. Tuning into the central channel. Go ahead and take 2 more body scans. You can have the hands coming down in front of the face, in front of the body, or you can bring them along the sides of the head, whatever is drawing your attention towards it. Just let your intuition guide you. Imagine those feet as roots down into the earth. One more body scan. Just letting your intuition guide where the hands are going, palms facing the body. And then really settling down into those roots. Roots down the legs, a third down the tailbone, relaxing the tail to earth. And bring the hands just below the belly button into the hip creases. The lower dantian, the two secret chakras, and the bowl of the pelvis. And see if you can bring your breath awareness all the way down into this root. Continuing to allow the tailbone to relax. Breathing into that area underneath the hands. And here also underneath the hands is the womb, the center of creativity. And see if we can just send a little attention, love, tuning into that creative sacral chakra. And then we're going to take some rounds of ocean spine from here, so you can bring the feet a little more hip distance together. Take another breath, breathing into the bowl of the pelvis, into the womb, into the creative center, allowing the legs to feel rooted and grounded. Shoulders down, away from the ears. And then we'll take a few rounds of ocean spine. So same thing as the body scan, hands rise up on the inhale. This time we'll bring the palms together, look up at the hands, a little back bend. And then as you exhale, dive forward, soften the knees, release the full breath into the forward fold, release the crown of the head. And then when you're ready to inhale, start rolling up from the lower back, middle back, upper back, head and neck come last. The hands float back up, and then draw a line through the center, back into your Tadasana. Full breath in, full breath out. On the inhale, letting the hands float up overhead, same thing, nice and tall. And then diving forward into your forward fold, releasing the breath. And you can think about that string of pearls, moving the spine as if each vertebra is on a string. But starting from the bottom this time, the lower back, upper back, head and neck come last. And then as your head floats up, as the arms float up, imagine someone just drawing that string a little bit higher towards the heavens, and then bringing the hands back through the center line. Take a full breath to recover into Tadasana, full breath out. We'll take a few more rounds here on your own breath. Inhaling, letting the hands float up. Exhaling, really letting the spine hang here. Soft knees, relax the crown of the head, relax the tongue. And then on an inhale, rising back up, floating up as that string of pearls is lifted. And see if you can find 2 more rounds with your own breath. So from your mountain pose, moving with the inhale. On the exhale, coming into your forward fold, releasing the breath. And you can just stay there and pause in that forward fold, only rolling up when you're ready to inhale. Pausing between rounds to really feel the effects on the body, and then one more, your own time and breath. And then back into Dasana. Just taking a moment with the gaze inward to notice all the movement happening inside the body, the sparkle, sensations. And then we're going to take a few stretches for the neck and shoulders. So you can come to the mat seated or you can start just standing. We'll start with our pranic bath. So forearms together, palms up, and then scooping something up and over yourself. Keep those elbows together as long as you can. And when they're ready to float apart, roll the backs of the hands together and then all the way up. Brighten the fingertips and come back down to where you started. So you can stay standing or you can start to work your way onto the mat. And think about brightening those fingertips as you calm down. Take 3 more with your own breath. So as you inhale, scooping that extra prana chi up and over, and then swimming through it. Hands back to where you started. Moving nice and slow to get into all the little corners of the shoulder. This is one of the only stretches that really gets into all the different ways the shoulder can move. Good. Let's go ahead and take one more just for a little extra prana today. Let it be so juicy. And then bring the hands back to that lower dantian, into the bowl of the pelvis, hip creases, and just take a full breath in, full breath out. Connect that sense of the crown all the way to the root. And then if you haven't already, we're going to start to move down to find a comfortable seat. So keep that sense of rootedness as you transition either onto a block or a meditation cushion. We're going to do a little Myo Fascial release. So make sure you have a comfortable seat. You could even sit on a stool if it's not comfortable to sit on the ground. So let's start with the shoulders and the neck. Fingertips to the mat. And we're going to start by just inhaling I'll mirror you. So left hand up, bending the left elbow, bring it to the right ear. And then without pulling using the muscle of the arm, just relax the head and let the weight of the arm take the head over. And then take a few breaths here. And just notice what you notice. So notice where there's tension. Notice where there's holding and see if you can breathe a little space into that. And then exhale it out. Go ahead and take another full breath in. Full breath out. Just allowing the neck to release. And then go ahead and walk the hand to the back of the skull. Look down at the left thigh and then take a few breaths here. And just telling those shoulders it's okay, you can relax. And then release the hand from the head, roll the chin towards the chest, pause there, notice the difference between the two sides. And then roll the head back up. Make any adjustments you need to feel comfortable. And then same thing other side. So right arm up, bend the right elbow, weight of the arm is going to just, as you allow the head to relax, the weight of the arm is going to take the head over. And you might notice you're holding in both sides, not just the one we're targeting here on the left. Maybe you can allow the right scapula to come down the back a little. Take another full breath in, full breath out. And then we'll walk the hand to the back of the head, look down at the right thigh, and just pause there. Same thing, just allowing. And then we'll release the hand from the back of the head, let the chin roll towards the chest. Pause there, and then roll back up. And then let's give ourselves another pranic bath here just to move the fluids around. So nice and slow. And then all the way back down. And we're going to bring the left hand into the right shoulder. So the palm and the knuckles are right in there between the bones. And then take the other hand and place it on top. And then press in and pull down. So now you're starting to get into there a little bit to release some of the fascia that gets held there. So you're going to press in, pull down, and then just gently allow the left ear to come towards the left shoulder. So whatever side the hands are on, you're moving, leaning in the other direction. Just hanging there for a moment. Keep pulling the fascia on the left hand, on the left side underneath the hands, in and down. And then you're going to just lift the chin. So not even really rotating the head as much as just lifting the chin. And then you can add in rotating. And you're just going to have a little play here with your own sensations. So move really slowly. Only do what feels nice. Having a little, just a little stretch, maybe looking up the ceiling, maybe just lifting the chin, maybe starting to look down at the thigh. Just moving through this. Maybe you hear all sorts of little pop rocks sounds in your neck as the little adhesions start to get some fluid in there. So just playing here, keep pulling the tissue, the left shoulder in and down. And then just take a pause, full breath in, full breath out. Bring the left ear back to the left shoulder. And then float back up. Release the hands. And again, just take a moment to notice the difference between the two sides. So then we'll bring the right hand over to the left shoulder. So finding the collarbone and the shoulder joint with the fingertips and then pressing in and down. Bring the left hand on top. Take a few breaths here. And then when you feel ready, you're going to just let the right ear come towards the right shoulder. Keep pulling the tissue in and down. Keep letting the weight of the head just take itself over to the right. Take a few breaths there. And then just gently draw the chin up. So just as if you're nodding up and down to start. And just move within your own range of what feels good. And then maybe you want to start to add a little rotation, lifting the chin and then looking towards the ceiling. Just play with your own range of movement here. Keep drawing the tissue of the left shoulder in and down. Maybe you want to look down at the thigh. So you're just moving in your own range. Take another few breaths here, just playing, moving gently. And then we'll bring the right ear back to the right shoulder and just hang there a couple breaths. And then go ahead and draw the head back up. Take a breath there still with your hands on your shoulder. And then release. All right, we're going to take a little lateral stretch here. So fingertips to the mat. We'll start with the right hand. Inhale the right hand up. And then you're going to press into the left hand and lean over. So you're not just collapsing over, but actually pressing in. And then see if you can turn the heart forward. So try not to look down at the mat. See if you can bring yourself forward. So the right hip is heavy. I'm just leaning in and pressing into this left hand, opening up that lateral side, right side of the body. Take a full breath in, full breath out. And then inhale to the other side. So have a play at first. Just see what you're doing. Can you keep the lift pressing into the right hand so you can get more of a stretch out? Left hip is heavy. Heart is open as much as you can forward so you're not leaning down. The arm bone's actually out of your peripheral vision. And then we're just going to take a little flow here. So inhaling up, stretching, reaching over. Make sure the opposite hip is staying grounded. And then you can work with the breath. You'll find the natural breath comes in as you expand, exhales out. Don't even have to think about it, just happening naturally, exhaling as you bend over. Take a few more. Let that opposite hip stay grounded. Let's take one more each side. And then back up to center, and we'll take a little twist here. So turning towards the left, right hand to the left thigh, get nice and tall. Imagine that string of pearls lifting up the spine. And then as you exhale, take a little twist here. Let the head stay pretty neutral. You don't have to look all the way behind you. Another full breath in. Feel tall on the inhale. As you exhale, find a little bit more space in the torso. And then when you're ready, inhale the hands up, twisting to the other side. Left hand to right thigh, nice and tall. String of pearls lifts, and then as you exhale, finding some space. One more full breath in, nice and tall. Exhale a little deeper. And then release up. Wiggle out the fingertips all the way back down to the tops of the shoulders and just make some circles with the elbows. Click and clack live here. Go ahead and change the direction of the circles if you haven't already. All right, we're going to do a little bit more self-massage now. And this can be really lush. Also can be, it can be deep, it can be intense. So if you want to change your seated position at all, if you want to bring the other leg forward or make any adjustments, go ahead and do that. So we're going to be taking our thumb into the intercostals. So you can start by just pressing around and getting to know, like, oh, there's my shoulder blade, big triangular bone in the back. And then if I come forward, I feel some tenderness there. And then if I press in and just poke around, I can start to feel the ribs and the spaces between the ribs. So they're like little mountains and valleys. So you can start here by just poking around and finding some of these mountains and valleys between the ribs, finding the shoulder blade, maybe working in there. Ooh, yeah, that muscle behind the shoulder blade, giving that a little, just seeing what's there. And once it feels, you're feeling familiar with it, we're gonna take the, so I'm gonna mirror you. I'm on the, with the right hand. Take your thumb and just find one of these spots between the ribs, a little valley between the ribs. So in front of your shoulder blade. And then bring the left hand down, and we're just gonna lean in. Take a few breaths, pressing in with that thumb into the intercostal space. And you can move the thumb around, or you can just pause there. And we're just gonna keep leaning over. Take the thumb to maybe a new spot, maybe above or below, whatever's within your reach, and just pause there, give it a little pressure. Take a full breath in. Notice how the breath can fill that, open that space a little bit. Just stay there, just little gentle rubbing back and forth in that valley. And then start to walk yourself down between the ribs, just pausing and breathing. You can go as deep or as light as you want. Go ahead and take yourself down one more. And one more little valley between the ribs. Just taking that thumb in there as much as I want to rub through that valley. So pressing through the cross fibers of the muscles, just very gently. Breathing. And then we're going to start to just walk that thumb back up. So finding again the next valley up, taking a walk through that valley with the thumb. Breathing deeply. Noticing maybe the floor of the valley is a little softer now as you come back through. Go ahead and just walk yourself back up, each time pausing between the ribs. Just moving the thumb through that valley between the ribs. Taking a deep breath, noticing if the tissue is softening. If it's not, if it feels the same, just pause with it, breathe there. See if you can find a place to pause for just a few more breaths. And then we're going to release that right hand from the rib cage and just take a full stretch all the way over. Let the right hip stay grounded. Press into the floor with the left hand to keep that right hip on the mat. Open up. Maybe you can look towards the ceiling here. Keep pressing into the opposite hand. Noticing that openness now, a little bit more openness. Beautiful. And then take yourself back. Take a moment in the center to notice the difference between the two sides. So even with that small amount of movement, you might feel quite a energetic, profound, energetic movement internally. So let's do the other side. So now right hand is on the mat. Oh, first we started just, let's give it a full massage to get to know it. So finding the shoulder blade. There's a big muscle between the rib cage and the shoulder blade that you can access. Poking in there a little bit. And then finding the valleys between the ribs. And just getting to know this area, pressing into it gently. So even though this feels quite tender, the sense of release and relief come from working with the fascia, with releasing into the cross fibers of the muscle, releasing into trigger points. So just find a place, find your way around here, find a place where you want to start. And then we're going to bring the right hand to the mat, bring our thumb of the left hand into one of those valleys in the ribs, and just pressing and leaning and breathing. So first when I start, I'm just holding a pressure point. And if you can hold a pressure point, the longer you can hold it, so 12 to 15 seconds, then there's a physiological reaction for the muscle to relax. It sends out a little chemical. And then that allows us, when we come back through, to walk more through the muscle fibers. So I'm not even trying to massage it first. I'm just trying to hold and breathe. And then depending where you started, you're just going to take the thumb either up or down, find the next valley, find a point, hold and breathe. And just stay with it. A few more breaths. You notice the more you use the breath, the deeper the thumb will go. So the more you can deepen the breath, then the thumb can get even a little bit more in there. And then again, just taking your thumb either up or down, starting to move between the valleys, walking the mountains of the ribs. And change the touch a little bit to move from front to back, walking through the valley now and noticing the tissues do start to soften. And if you can't feel that with your hand, them softening, just pause there again, walk through with your thumb or your knuckles and just take a few breaths. And we're gonna walk our way back up. If you haven't already started, just moving back up. Noticing the tissues might have changed a little bit since you were there the first time. Pausing where you need, breathing where you need, leaning if that helps. See if you can Find a place to find a few more breaths and just pause. And then we're gonna release the left hand up overhead and just hang here for a moment. Having it play, maybe experiment with pressing into the right hand and bending the elbow, trying to open the heart more towards the ceiling, noticing if it feels more expanded than when we did this earlier. One more, and then back up. And we'll take a twist here to unwind. So again, moving either to the right or the left, taking the opposite hand to the top of the thigh, taking a few breaths there, and then coming through the front, taking a nice twist to the other side. And then back to center. We're going to transition to the back, but I'm going to show you, we're going to do a little bit more self-massage on the neck and shoulders, and then we'll work in that subtle bridge breathing. So we'll do a little self-massage with the fingers interlaced. If your hands are tired right now from massaging, just shake them out, extend and flex the fingers. And then what we'll be doing is interlacing the hands behind the back and using the thumbs to come into this area where the skull and the neck meet. So you can just feel back there to start where your skull is, where the soft tissue is. You might feel down into what should be soft tissue and might feel quite stiff. So what we'll be doing is on our backs, having the hands interlaced, holding the skull, and just holding some of these points back here along the base of the skull. So we'll just take, you can feel, if you press in with your thumbs, you can feel over here by the side of the jaw, there's a band of muscles. And then walk yourself back, and you'll feel a space, again, a valley between the bands of muscles. So we're gonna hold here, and then we're gonna see if we can get up just a little bit higher on the other side of that band of muscle. Okay, so we'll come to the back, find your bridge prep pose. Take your block if you have it, bring your bolster handy, any other props you have. We're gonna take it nice and slow to keep unwinding the spine. So let's start in bridge prep. And then just bring the knees to the chest, rock and roll, feel the back below you. Start to connect this area of the neck with the pelvis as you just rock and roll across the back of the pelvis, tuning into that top iliac crest, the bone. You can be feeling like you're moving your feet, your butt towards the long end of the mat to make space for the spine. And then place the feet on the mat so you're back in your bridge prep. Bring the hands back to the bowl of the pelvis, right below the belly button. Take a few breaths here. And just see if you can extend your breath all the way down to this area underneath the hands. And we're going to start that very subtle breathing with pelvic tilts here. So just notice the more you bring the breath into the hands, on the inhale, the pelvis naturally tilts towards the feet. The more you exhale the breath out, the pelvis naturally tilts towards the face. So just connecting now the whole spine from the tailbone all the way through the center of the body, up around the brain, moving very subtly and slowly just to extend this natural tilt of the pelvis with the breath. Naturally, when you feel the breath all the way down into the belly, the pelvis tilts towards the feet. As you exhale, curve comes out of the lower back, the pelvis tilts towards the face. So just work with this subtle movement here. So the spinal cord that sits inside of the bones is filled with cranial sacral fluid. So that fluid goes all the way down through the tailbone, all the way up the spinal cord and around the brain. So again, we're talking about the central channel. So just stay here with this small movement with the breath, giving yourself a little massage along the sacrum, starting to move that pump of the cranial sacral fluid with the breath. So consciously bringing that pulse, that natural pulse of the cranial fluid into alignment with the breath. You can start to make it a little bit bigger, even just really pressing the breath out, perhaps starting to engage the pelvic floor a little bit on the exhale, taking a bigger breath, getting a little bit more curve in the low back. We're going to take about 10 more rounds here, so just stay with it. Really draw the belly button towards the spine as you exhale, flattening the back. Maybe you notice little changes other places in the body, like the shoulders releasing, or the chin wants to tuck a little bit more. You can always take the hands away from the floor of the pelvic, or away from the pelvic bowl, and just place them anywhere around you. 5 more rounds here. These last 5 rounds, really pressing out all the air, even starting to press into the feet a little bit, so the pelvis becomes quite light on the exhalations. Really pressing out the breath. 3 more rounds. And on this last round, we're going to hold the breath out, press into the feet, let the pelvis feel light, and bring the hands interlaced behind the skull, thumbs into that area where the skull and the soft tissue meet. Keep pressing the breath out. And then release the pelvis, bring your awareness to the hands. So you're cradling the skull. Thumbs don't even need to be pressing in, they can just be lightly placed on the back of where the skull and the neck meet. So just place the thumbs there, don't worry about pressing in too much. And then walk the feet out wide, let the knees come together so you have a little tripod with the legs. And we're just gonna stay here and breathe and hold these points with our thumbs until we can feel a pulse underneath them. So you don't even need to press in very much, you're just pressing in enough to give the body some feedback. Just holding the crown of the head, letting the elbows come towards the mat. If you need to adjust the shoulders, do that. See if we can find a few more breaths here. So the hands are pretty relaxed. I'm just using enough effort in the hands to hold the thumbs onto the neck where the skull and the soft tissue meet. I'm not trying to poke in there, I'm just holding them to there to give a little sensory feedback. to the fascia. So much like that same sense of hold we had on the shoulder and the pec earlier, just gently pressing in. And then once you start to feel some sense of energy moving underneath there, perhaps you can start to feel a pulse or something shifting and softening. Then go ahead and just use those thumbs to rub into the fibers of the muscle, just as much as feels comfortable and good. And take a few more breaths here. Giving yourself a massage. Adjust the legs if you need to, whatever is most comfortable. And then see if you can find another point along the meeting of the soft tissue in the skull and just pause there again. And just hold that point. You can close off the eyes. And then again, once you feel energy moving there, start to move the thumbs and just give yourself a little rub. And then release. We're gonna let the head be heavy in the hands, and then just see if we can lift the head just ever so gently. Tilt the chin towards the chest and use the arms to hold the head and just open up there for a moment. Allow the weight of the head to be taken into the arms. Allow the front of the throat to relax. Let the head be heavy. You got this. Take another few breaths. Just keep allowing the throat to relax. And then gently release the head back to the mat. Hug the knees towards the chest. Give yourself a big squeeze. Rock a little side to side. We'll take a twist. So twisting through the central channel. Bring both feet towards you. If you want to use a block as a spacer, it helps keep the hips aligned. Press into the feet, lift the pelvis, take the pelvis over the left, set it down, lift the legs, spacer between the legs are coming over to the right. Press into the arm bones, adjust the shoulders any way you need, arms out alongside the body, and then let the eyes look left, let the head look left, and just breathe here. So all this fascia is connected in the body through spirals. So just allow yourself to relax into the spiral, let gravity do all the work. Breathe into wherever you feel you need more space. And then on the exhale, let gravity help you find more space. And then we're going to go ahead, if you've looked ahead to the left, go ahead and breathe it back to center. Take another full breath in. Full breath out. Reach down, remove the block, walk the feet back. Hug the knees towards the chest, rock a little side to side. Feel the connection in the spine all the way from the legs up to the crown of the head. Feet back to the mat. Press into the feet. Lift the pelvis. Pelvis comes to the right. Set it down. Legs lift. Spacer between. Arms out. Legs are coming over to the left this time. Now remember, if the right shoulder's coming up, you can place a bolster or something under your legs. Press into the arm bones. See if you can find more evenness between the two shoulders, and then take a few breaths there. So we've opened up all this area. See if you can let the legs be heavier. You can even take the left hand on top of the legs. Give it a little weight. And then look the eyes to the right. See if the head wants to follow to the right, and breathe. Just move into that openness, into that space we've created in the last hour. See if you can breathe in deep enough to access those ribs that we were massaging earlier in between, underneath the armpit. See if you can keep using the breath and using gravity to now connect and integrate the whole process. Unwinding these spirals from the shoulders to the hips, from the crown of the head, all the way down to the tippy toes. Few more breaths here. If you've looked ahead to the right, go ahead and inhale it back to center. Find one more. Full breath in, full breath out. See if it can be your deepest breath yet today. Just really breathing in, integrating this whole practice into a nice, clean spiral, unwinding everything. And then remove the block. Roll back onto the back. Hug the knees into the chest. Give yourself a biggest squeeze. We'll bring the palms to the top of the knees and just take a few circles here. Feeling that joint of the sacral bone and the tucking into the pelvis. Release it all. And then pause, take it the opposite direction. See if you can go slow enough to even feel the sensation between that sacroiliac joint and the neck, where it tucks into the skull. Just tuning into that whole connectedness of the whole spine. If you want to take a little hip opener here and come into happy baby, you can do so with a really passive one. Hands towards the ceiling, just relaxing the legs into the palms, or you can reach for the toes. Whatever big hip opening you want to take here. Just continuing to relax that sense of the tailbone, the lower back, the upper back, the neck, the crown, and the mind. And then we'll move into Shavasana. If you have a cushion, I highly recommend bringing something under the knees, under the thighs. That's just going to allow that low back curve to stay relaxed, which means a little bit more space in between each of the vertebrae. And then you can roll the shoulder blades together in the back. Let the palms shine towards the ceiling. Let there be a little space in the armpits. The feet be heavy, the eyes be heavy. Close off the eyes if it feels safe. And in Shavasana, we allow the mind to stay alert as the physical body relaxes, noticing what relaxation feels like, allowing this to integrate, to download. And let your next breath, your next inhale be a little deeper than the previous one. And let each inhale, as it grows in depth and length, to start to awaken the physical body. So taking in the sense of full relaxation with you as you start to perhaps just touch the fingertips to the tip of the thumb. Maybe give a little movement to the toes. Continuing to notice what that deep breath does in the torso, as if you could breathe all the way down into the toes and the fingertips. And then start to stretch the body, start to find the center line, walking the legs back towards each other. Take a full body stretch. Maybe moving a little right to left, maybe just wiggling things out, getting super tall. And then bringing the knees back towards the chest. Rolling onto one side or the other, finding fetal pose, resting the head on top of the arm. And then working your way back to find a comfortable seat. Whatever that is, take a little stretch here if you need, and just start to awaken the body up, taking that awareness of the central channel and all that we've unwound today from the shoulders to the hips with you into this next waking phase. And then see if you can find a moment of stillness to really feel the light in that central channel, all the way from the rootedness, up that string of pearls, up through the crown of the head, that sense of lightness and space. On an inhale, let your hands float up, fingertips together, a little space between the palms, and draw that flame back to the heart center. Press the thumbs into the sternum. And just take in that light of the heart that we've been cultivating the last hour. This light we all share. Thank you for allowing me to guide your practice this morning. I hope you feel a little bit more glittery, a little bit more lightness in the body, and light brightness of the heart. Namaste.